So each month we ask our patrons for topic suggestions. We put them along with a couple of other interesting stories from our community. They decide what we're going this month. It was overwhelmingly voted for by the community, which you can find at the Stomping Grounds on Facebook. Literally, no, they didn't vote for anything else. Our lovely community would like to talk about the impending return of MCM Comic Con. MCM Comic Con being the premier, largest major convention and series of conventions in the UK scene. Less than a week ago, MCM Comic Con, who are owned by Repopped, said that they were going to be restarting their conventions. At the moment, they're looking at the 22nd to 24th of October, MCM Comic Con at Excel. That's the London gig. And then 13th to 14th November at the NEC Birmingham. So effectively, south and up north. Sorry, I'm going to die now. Birmingham is not up north, but it is the one that they go to. That then is the Midlands and the North go to. Although having said that, a lot of people from the Midlands go to the Cambridge one. That's what. To the London one. So it's like that's what I'm saying. It's the difference. Anyway, screw my geography. In the letter, they stated that they have said there's going to be a lot of safety at the event. There's going to be stated the importance of safety as COVID vaccines are being administered and guidelines are easing. So some of this is going to be their policies, and some of this is going to be administrative policies imposed on them by the government. Decide which will be harder amongst yourself. They have said our number one priority is the well-being and safety of everyone at our shows. We see a path towards safe, amazing events that are going to look a bit different than we're used to. They have said this will include shows will be run with reduced capacity to ensure social distancing. They're working closely with each convention center and following governmental guidelines to determine how many people are permitted in the building every day and at a given time. Face coverings will be required by law for everyone entering the event unless you are exempt. Must be worn at all times within event venues. They'll have increased sanitization and cleaning with enforced physical distancing throughout the event. Yes, they may have actually come and given needlessly aggressive wet dream of issuing the traders with tasers. That would make me so happy. And also, MCM will adopt a firm no handshake, no high five, no hug policy. They've yet to reveal how panels, autographs, or photo sessions will be run. Presumably, they would be on similar guidelines. I mean, panels, you just have more spacing. Autographs, you can do autographs with social distancing, obviously. Photo sessions, I don't know. Get the guy who did all the photo jiggery for Lord of the Rings and use perspective tricks. I don't know. They're going to be coming that so. And this I'm going to be asking with regards to what they have said they will be enforcing. It's going to be my first thing. I mean, how broadly do you feel about events restarting, and do you think these rules are appropriate? Are you Iron Manning their arguments? Iron Manning their safety case.
Okay, so
would you be happy that these would work?
No, because I mean, when I read that letter, I wanted to reply to it and go, "Have you been to one of your
we're
own
Iron
events?"
Manning. We're Iron Manning it first. First round is Iron Manning it. Assuming
I don't know what that means.
That means you assume the best case.
No, I don't.
Would you? Okay, assuming that these would work for the sake of, because I can turn you off.
The geeky teens actually.
Assuming that, yes, for the third time, assuming that these could actually go in place. Does the theory of these? I mean, does it even sound like a fun event to you? Is this because you're worried that they won't actually keep these rules? Because again,
it doesn't sound fun at all. Because the whole fun of going to Expo is that you see masses of cosplayers like all congregating on the steps and taking photos. You can sit on the stairs and like see across the lawn every single fandom ever. And how are they gonna let's be honest, MCM is a giant dealer's room. So what, you've got to walk 3 miles to the next table? Excel's big, I'll give them that, but how are they spacing out the dealer tables? Because the Artist Alley, you're on top of each other.
The current, based on the current, on my understanding of the current rulings, you would be looking at about half. You'd be able to use the same layout, but you would remove half the tables. So the density would be the same. You'd just have half as many. So not the density. The areas would be, broadly speaking, the same. You just have half as many. Right.
So they might actually sort out the bottleneck situations.
I mean, it might do.
Let me just put this in perspective, right? As a school teacher, having to put into place a number of the things you've asked for, right, and working in an institution that has far more problems in terms of buildings and access and ins and out compared to Excel, for example. Like Excel, at least you have one way in, one way out for the public, and then anything else along the external sides you can control, you can close off, right? So I think, and also they can do the density thing you just described. I can't do that. I've got 31 kids across the table, across the standard table arrangement in the room, because there is no way I can halve that. No way I can halve that. So realistically, if they are willing to take a hit financially or charge the people less who are coming, also charge them more rather, then I can see the event being put on. I can see them having a go, but my understanding of everything you just said is that even in an Iron Man situation, the reality is that a number of those things will not function with numbers above. Like when they say it's going to be reduced capacity, they don't say how many.
No, they haven't.
We're dealing with 1,000 kids a day plus the adults, and we cannot manage what they're trying to manage. And we do testing, and we do all kinds of things. So
again, this is a 2-part. This is we're doing the Iron Man section, and then we're doing the actual reality section.
No, but I'm saying that even the Iron Man situation is still not going to work, is what I'm saying. And therefore, I don't see how it can be fun. I just don't think the Iron Man, even at the best scenario, is still fraught.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the Iron Man scenario, it's not, because you have to take into account that the Iron Man scenario only works if you take out the people. As soon as you put people in it, it's going to go wrong. So the Iron Man scenario does not work even if it's starting.
Being nice for the purposes of conversation, which are wonderful. Yes, have asked for, and if the conversation is no, that's not a good conversation. Okay, going back to some of the points raised, they haven't said what the reduced number will be. They also haven't said what the ticket prices will be. So you do have the question of, if they keep the ticket at the same price, but you've got half of the stuff at the event, is that worth the ticket? As has been commented out below, the fun is gone. Not being able to hug your friends, for a lot of people, there is the social element of it, and especially at the moment when, let's face it, we miss hugging our friends. Although hugging is allowed again, or they use more of the venue. I don't think there is any more of the MC. They can't use more of the venue.
They can use the whole thing.
They are.
No, because at XL
they use the whole thing.
No, they've never used the entirety of the XL Centre. There's usually a caravan show or something else on.
Yeah, you're right. There's always been.
It's always other things on. They use.
There was one time there was Nickelodeon Awards, which was quite funny.
When did you guys last go?
My favorite one was when they had the Islamic scholars convention.
I remember that.
And you had all these Muslim girls coming out talking to cosplayers wearing very little, and they're in their hijabs. They're all talking about the same anime. It was brilliant. It was the most wonderful meetup. Anyway, sorry.
But I can't confirm this, and I will not name my source, but apparently one of the things that's been bandied about for the XL tickets is that you will get a time slot. When they haven't confirmed that this is going to happen.
No, they have effectively confirmed that. Where are we? guidance to determine how many people are permitted in the building every day and at a given time. The only way you can guarantee at a given time is by having time slots.
Yeah, so
that
basically,
is tacitly confirmed.
But basically, so what one of the things that has been talked about is that they will reduce the price of the ticket, and you will get maybe like a 2-hour, or they haven't worked. The fine details have not been worked out, but you will get a morning, an afternoon, and then a late afternoon slot, and that is the time that you are allowed to be in the Excel Center. If you are in the Excel Center before your time, then you will be asked to leave until your time is happening. And if you are in afterwards, the security guards will ask you very politely to leave.
How do they know?
Because
presumably
wristbands,
there'll be color coding.
They're color coded wristbands. Yeah. What they haven't, again, this is all very up in the air. They haven't worked it out because they don't know right now.
But if the simplest way to do it would be color coding. But you also, I mean, there are issues with that. But I mean, a number of people have said that you can do the whole of MCM in 2 hours. So
yeah,
like,
I have.
You can.
That might actually give the game away a bit.
But the problem is that if they're going to run panels and you have bought a time slot, say 9 till 11, and the panel you want to go to is at 3 o'clock,
exactly.
you have to then buy a ticket again for that time slot.
Do not know.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I love their optimism. I love that they think that they can run an event like MCM in 2021. I love that they want to try.
Yeah.
But I love the fandoms that go to this thing, but I have worked enough MCMs to know that you cannot herd cats and you cannot herd nerds on a mission.
Yeah.
Nerds on a mission.
If you have a group of nerds and they want to go to a particular stall or area, they're gonna go. No. Yes, speedrun MCM. Oh my god, Supermarket Street MCM. But this is the thing, they're like, enforce social distancing. How are you going to do that? You're going to put everyone in Zorbs?
There are manners that can be done. Again, we haven't got to the pointing out all the innate. I mean, I'm looking at this, and I'm instantly like, I am not looking at this and feeling optimistic about it. Assuming it works fine, okay. Number one, it's going to be murder to get a ticket. Absolute murder. The chances of getting a ticket, because you've got all those weebs, all those punters desperate to go to a convention. I am 100% sure this will sell out. I'm 100% sure it'll be carnage to get a ticket, so I am not going to bother trying to get my hopes up. It's just going to be bump.
Also, logistically as well with it, like, just the sheer amount of bathrooms in the MCM is not enough for that many people, even without social distancing. So
there's going to be less people there than usual.
Yeah, but there's still going to be
not enough bathrooms.
There's still not enough. You've got the bathrooms downstairs, and then there's a couple along the concourse, and that's kind of it. And you've got, if you think about
the bathroom problem will be less because there will be less people.
But they'll still, but that's the problem, is that normally Expo has 25,000 people attend over the weekend.
Right.
And so if you halve that for 3 days, that's still more people than the bath. Like, what, are they going to have someone stationed there literally to wipe down the entire bathroone before someone can go back in? That's what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying now. You're saying that the using them and keeping the bathrooms hygienic, COVID safe. That is an issue. I mean, I'm looking at this, and again, going back to it, assuming they can get it to work this way, the given time thing, that if they can make that work brilliantly, great. But that's going to be an absolute ball ache, because you've got to get there. You know, if I can only get a ticket for the 9 till 12 slot, I can't just mosey in at midday and go. And if something goes wrong, the tension, the pressure that will put on the situation, that to me is reducing my fun.
And also the amount of neurodiverse people that you have going as well. That's going to cause an issue.
That's a deadline.
And disabled in general.
Yeah. So that is reducing the fun factor to me. If they can make it work perfectly, the perfect system is still a bit of a pain in the arse.
But also the other people that the other side of it is not just the attendees, but the dealers. How do you, if you say sell plushies, how do you keep that COVID safe? Do you have because you get look, we've all gone shopping at MCM or anywhere like that, and you've gone and you're like, oh, cool, is that the plushie I want? You pick it up. Oh, no, it's not. You put it back. So how does that work? Are they going to have to bag everything? Is everything going to have to be wiped down? Are you not going to be able to touch stuff? Like, as a dealer, and also if they have to raise the price of the tables are already expensive at MCM.
Yeah.
Well, that's the, as a punter, we don't know what the price is going to be. As someone who's on the traders list, no idea. But people are assuming it will be bad, but people are also going to pay it because they need the money.
Yeah.
So you are going to get the place filled with stalls. Quick comment from Station Controller. Excel will likely have events running before MCM. Yes, they will. They'll have an idea of what works and what doesn't work. Yes, but I don't think they're going to have anything comparable to MCM. And going back to a comment that was made earlier, if I can find it. Here we go. The steps outside and the local shops won't get locked down. Weeb's going to weeb. Yeah. A lot of MCM happens in areas that they cannot police, as in legally, they can't stop a huge number of weebs congealing in the public areas.
And think of the tube as well. How congested would that be?
Yeah.
I mean, as Just Mark said, I would sooner lick all the handrails in the London Underground than race around Expo in 2 hours in a mask with COVID everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Spot on.
I would literally rather go and lick the London Underground than go to Expo.
I know this might sound weird, but there's the other issue of some people have really inappropriate face masks.
Yes.
My husband saw one come into his shoe shop.
Hang on. Just to clarify, we're talking about a weeb event. Are we talking about inappropriate content on the face mask?
Yes.
Or are we... Right, yeah. That does not surprise me. Someone will turn up with a straight up porn mask.
Yeah,
and also
Jack had someone come in to his normal everyday on the high street shop with the mask and a full hoodie with it on. About 14, you said?
About that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the other part I was going to pick up, enforce social distancing, right? If they can make that work, brilliant. But I walk at a different speed to other people.
Mm-hmm.
How that doesn't... So again, looking at that and like, I mean, the no handshakes, no high fives, and no hugs. Brilliant. I can legally kill someone if they try to glomp me. Not a problem. Absolutely over the moon.
The other thing, though, is they mentioned that you have to wear a mask unless you're exempt.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention something, and if anyone in chat does this, you are a horrible human being and you will be punished for it later in life. But you can buy those mask exemption cards on the internet, all the lanyards, for 50p.
Yep.
You don't have, so you can say I'm exempt when you're not actually exempt. And I
have seen parents on the school run that I know don't have any conditions that are exempt.
Yeah.
And they have sunflower lanyards. And as someone that wears one because they do have conditions, it gets on my tits. It's just so upsetting because I have it there to show people, because I'm still wearing my mask and I have my sunflower lanyard because I need to show people that I might have difficulties with something. People will say, I can't breathe through a mask. It's like, yes, you can.
So I work with doctors when I'm not signed off work sick because I have a bad back. And somebody phoned up saying they wanted the doctor to write them a letter to say they were exempt from wearing a mask. And I asked the doctor, and he said the only people he would write an exemption letter for would be in an iron lung, and they wouldn't need it because they wouldn't be going anywhere. That's the thing. Like,
that is
there are definitely people who wearing a mask is not advisable for medical reasons, but it is a very small part of the population.
And you're basically concerned that even if they do enforce that, you're going to have people who should be wearing a mask and who could be wearing a mask that will just be jerks.
They'll go on the internet.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I could literally do it in 2 seconds. I could buy one, but I won't because I am not one of the people it's intended for.
I mean, again, we don't know how that one will be enforced, but
probably the same way it's enforced when you go to the supermarket and someone's got a card that says they're exempt, but they're not actually, because there's not a lot that the venue can do about it. Like, it's one of those things. Like,
if you've got a mask exempt card, technically you shouldn't be going out.
Exactly,
Yes.
that's the point. you should not be leaving the safety of your house because you are medically at risk of getting COVID.
Exactly.
And so you shouldn't definitely be at Expo.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I technically could have a medical exemption for COVID. I don't, because I can wear a mask. It's a piece of paper that goes, a piece of like paper or fabric that goes over my face.
We can agree. You know, people who take the mickey, bad. People who have medical exemptions, yeah. People taking the mickey make their life a lot worse.
I know so many people that could have a medical exemption card, but don't.
Yeah.
And wear masks more strictly than anyone else. Like, again, I think I'm one of the only parents that wears a mask at some points on the school run. Like, as soon as they leave the school gates, everyone's ripping their masks off, and I'm still have it on the walk.
Okay.
I literally, as soon as I am going out of my house,
we got this established. We got we're good on that. No. It's one of those things that I totally get why you are so passionate about it, because it drives me crazy. But it does boil down to people taking the mickey bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible, bad.
The problem is, like, when you have an event like Expo where you are going to have thousands of people, even with the lower down thing, there is no way that everything they laid out in that letter can be enforced in any way, shape, or form, because people are people, and you have good people, you have people in the middle, and then you have bad people. So
absolutely even with the stuff they've put on there, it's like, well, how are you going to fit all the people to enforce it in there along with the punters?
Yeah. And also, like, when I go to Expo, I have to be in a wheelchair or a mobility scooter. And how is this going to affect the people who cannot get round Expo very quickly? Because it does sound like it's going to be a speed run. I mean, and let's be honest, most people go to Expo, you go to check out the dealers' tables, see the artist alley, possibly go to a panel, but you mostly go for the social aspect. A lot of people I know certainly do that. You hang out in the Fox Bar or like one of the other bars on the Expo. And it's like, the social part of Expo is kind of why people still go. Yeah. And if you take that away, it is literally a giant dealer's room and nothing else. And that is
not like Minami or one of the smaller conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see social distancing kind of working at Minami, but that's because everyone there is a tad little bit more grown up.
It's I would say it is a lot easier to do at residential events of that nature, because there are less people. Yeah. You can be you are not a face in the crowd.
And also, residential cons, they have you agree to certain behaviors when you buy a ticket, and it does say on your ticket that the convention can revoke your tickets.
Technically, you're under the same thing for something like MCM Expo, but most people aren't worried about that because you are one in a crowd of thousands.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at a residential, within half a day, enough people know you that if you break the rules, you are out.
Yeah.
So given how unconvinced you guys are about this, would it be fair to say you wouldn't think, even if you did think they could put them in place, you wouldn't think it would be fun?
MCMs to me weren't fun really anyway.
Oh, please. No, okay, that's a different issue.
As soon as I went to dealer side, I couldn't attend as an attendee anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because it's just
for the purposes of discussion.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of situation would you be happy to go back to events? What are you waiting for before you can return to events? When will you return?
Like Jenna says, I don't know, because I don't know. Like, I don't even feel safe leaving my house at the moment without a mask and full thing. So the thought of going to any event, even a small one like Minami or SunnyCon or Kitacon or Ame, any of those where I know most of the people and I could, and I would trust the committee to enforce the regulations. If someone said to me, "Oh yeah, Kita's running next year, beginning of May, or 2022," I don't think I would go, because I am that concerned about basically I cannot police other people.
Right.
Despite how hard MCM or any convention committee tries, they cannot police everyone who attends their event, whether dealer, staff, or attendee. And the thought of trusting that many people to behave sensibly causes me very large spikes in anxiety, and it reminds me of a quote that I heard, that a mob is only as smart as its stupidest member.
So you're basically saying that whilst there is a need for policing, regardless of the event, you don't feel safe going.
No.
That's your level. Okay. Hugh, you were going to say?
Dare I point out that in addition to everything that they've said they are doing, if there is somebody who turns out to have caught COVID having attended the event, they cannot possibly track and trace on that level.
No.
Yeah, they can. They got everyone's address.
Yeah, if you bought a ticket, they can email you.
Yeah, but in terms of who was around, what I mean is in terms of who was around you.
Yeah,
so here's the thing. What I mean is, here's the thing, right? I've got 31 kids in a classroom. I know I have a seating plan. We have to stick to these seating plans religiously because of track and trace. If a kid tests positive at home, we can narrow down who was closest to them at various points in the day. It's not perfect, but we have managed to get through nearly a whole school year with far less outbreaks than almost any other school I know in the county, let alone in other counties. And that's because we've established not just a track and trace method, but a regime that the kids themselves are part of. They have to know who they're near. You know what I mean? There's a voluntary element. What I'm trying to understand is, yes, they'll know who you are.
Yeah.
How do they know where you went, who you attended, which events we have?
They don't know your social group.
They've got to track all
My
of that.
response again would be, they've got everyone's email address. They could let everyone know there was an outbreak.
Yeah, but that's thousands you're talking about.
They've got an auto mailer.
They would literally have to email everyone who bought.
Guys, the exponential level of that's a super spreader beyond your massive mega churches in the States. I mean, that's exactly what London just doesn't need right now, particularly with the variants.
Mate, it's not London. It's all over the show.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying it's just on that scale alone. Why would I go? Why would you run it? It's just the potential
money.
Is because companies are losing massive amounts of money.
Well, tough luck. That's called capitalism.
Yeah, I know, but you asked why they're doing it, and I'm giving you the answer.
No, I'm saying capitalism also means companies can fail. That's the funny thing that they seem to forget.
I know. So
they're all like, "Oh, please give us a government handout." Well, excuse me, I thought you didn't like socialism.
At what level? What would you need to happen for you to be up for going to events?
I'm not going back. As far as I can tell, I don't plan on going back. I'm double vaccinated now. I have a medical mask, and I have managed to see myself through nearly a year of school now. And I've even had to travel in that time and break quarantine and go down to Canterbury and come back. I've had to meet people in churches. I've had to do a lot of stuff, and it is sheer. The fact that I haven't got it, I put down to a combination of following routines that I learned from my friends who are paramedics and medical staff, and luck.
So you're never going back to conventions?
I'm too old for them anyway, and I'm too knackered. B, they don't do anything on there that I'm interested in. I have my great memories of 10 years, 15 years of doing them. But also, what are they going to offer me that they couldn't already offer me in terms of the streaming side? Like, take, for example, the US cons, I never had the time to travel to, right? So once they started showing stuff online, I was like, thank you, great, I can finally watch your stuff. And it's the same with English ones. I would much rather these things function the way our television does now, like a chat show with virtual studio audience and all the rest. I'd much rather they did that. I mean, yes, I agree. They're not going to make as much money, but the money they'll save on not having a giant venue and putting into place all the COVID procedures at this scale.
So you're kind of looking forward to this hastening the death of cons?
Well, it's not so much hastening as I just don't see why we as the punters need to look at balancing our health risk with our passion for the things that we enjoy. I think that is a really, really ridiculous false equivalence.
Okay.
Look, you love this so much. Surely it's worth the risk to your health.
Well, as someone, I drink beer, so.
Well,
yeah,
we all know where that leads with you and I. But
so Jenna, what would, in hopefully in the spirit of the conversation, what level, where would you need to be for you to be willing to go back to events?
I don't know.
Conventions. We're going to assume, for argument's sake, that you do want to return to them. At which point would you?
Convention I want to go back to is Minami. That is the only one I'm really interested in. Mostly because I can take Eevee, and
you also want to do HabanaCon because that's great.
Yeah, that's true. To go to massive events, especially since I've got my autism diagnosis, which has only been in the last 5 years, I think has made me go more wary of them anyway.
Assuming that you would.
No, I know. Yeah. I am trying to go through theoreticals in my head as well. I don't know, because at the same, I'm considering, I'm excited about the fact of I might get to visit my actual university campus for the first ever time in September, and I've been at my uni for a year, and I've never actually been on site. But at the same time, I'm worried that there's going to be another lockdown. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Yes, I'm also double vaccinated now. But what if there's another variant that comes out that isn't vaccinated against? I'm someone with asthma. I've got to worry about my lungs. My daughter has asthma. I have to worry about that. My husband works in retail, and that's hard enough as it is. So, I don't know. I mean, I live in a town where mass events happen regularly because we have the horse racing. And that was a massive COVID spreader for Cheltenham, especially because it ran just before the first lockdown, which was a stupid decision by them. And so it's just made me even more, because we have a local convention that's been going a few years. I don't know if I'll return to that yet at all. And at the same time, if I really want something from the mass dealer room, yes, I might find brand new artists, but I can search Etsy, I can search the web internet and go, this is what I'm looking for.
Okay, so would it be fair to say you're also like, you've now just got no foreseeable wish to return to conventions because of the medical fears?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay.
I'm.
That's not. Like, there's no wrong answer on this.
I know. But in my brain, there's a right and wrong answer, and I don't know why.
No.
I'm desperate to see you.
It's worth saying that ReedPop obviously run more than just MCM.
Yes,
and they've got oh crikey, what's it called? EGX.
Yeah,
coming up now. Kim, my partner, is a massive. That's her holiday every year. She goes to EGX every year, and she started doing the secondary, smaller EGX res as well. Apparently, she was saying that while they've kept res virtual for the bigger one, they are going to run it, but the venue they use, which is at St. Catherine's Docks. Kim says it's a very different kind of venue. It's much more ventilated. There's more room to move, and I think that, and so she's considering going. And I don't, we've been discussing this in terms of health and so forth, but because she's the one who currently works from home, and I'm the one in school. And when this event comes around, I'll be back in school, and so I think, well, assuming there's no lockdown, so I think it's about scale. And I think it's about venue, and I think it's about what you think can and cannot be done at that venue. She's been to that venue several times. She believes it is possible to run an event there with a degree of COVID security. And I trust her opinion on that because she's been with us to enough cons.
This is another reason I'm very hesitant to go to conventions at the moment, is because, yes, it is perfectly possible, given the nature of that venue that you described, that they could run it safely. And if you turn up and they're not, you've blown your con ticket, and you've blown your weekend.
True.
And that
is a serious
part of it. You're not going to be able to get your ticket back.
Hmm?
You're not going to be able to get a refund.
Yeah,
I found the COVID restrictions not suitable.
Yeah.
Can I have my money back? And I go, no.
Well, also you got your hotel, your travel costs.
Yeah,
you know, so it's especially after a lot of people didn't have a job over lockdown.
That's another part of this.
It's a lot of money to lay down on a big old maybe.
I am not criticizing people for being wary of COVID because I'm not an arse. So my question about, will you, when would you be happy to return? I mean, if your answer is I don't know, then your answer is I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm like, if I was to answer it, I'd say, well, once they don't have to have COVID restrictions, plus enough for me to, enough for like 6 or so months for enough events to have happened without there being mass super spreader incidences. So that's the best answer I can give on what I need. And it's not just from a logistical side, like he was saying, like, could they run the event? Would it be able to happen? All that, but just from pure hassle front. Going to an event, having to be constantly aware, having to be constantly on edge, not being able to enter that chill out thing, that would wind me up something chronic. That would have me on edge for the whole thing, which I definitely don't want to be.
Yeah.
And also think of like the hotel rooms. How many people averagely stay in one hotel room for an expo? You can be anywhere from 1 right up to probably 20, 30 people, depending on the size of the room.
Yeah, again, though,
how can they track that?
They can.
But also, I mean, think about it. Conflu has always been a thing after big events, even the smaller big events. So people go to these events feeling ill, like, oh, I've just got a bit of a cold, and then of course it mutates into everyone's dying for the next 3 or 4 days afterwards. COVID, I've seen enough people like going at saying, oh yeah, I haven't been able to taste anything since March, but I'm still going to work and doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, have you been to the doctor? Have you got a test? Oh, I don't have COVID. It's like, no.
Well, you've got all the symptoms.
Like, so like, interestingly enough, a lot of when someone says these are the symptoms of COVID, I have all of those, except I don't have COVID because I've been tested and I've all the rest of that. But if someone was to say, okay, have you got any of these symptoms? I would have to go yes for all of them, but I haven't got COVID because I have this thing that says,
Yeah.
And like, people, this may come out wrong, but I may not mean it as badly as people are inherently selfish. We are an inherently selfish species.
Okay.
We do think about the bigger picture, but for everyone, it's very much, what do I want? What do I need? What do I get out of it? Even if you are the most wonderful, lovely, kind person, there is still that part of you that's like, and for a lot of people, like, I am dying to see my friends. Like, I would love to go and see all my convention friends and hang out and chat and do all this weird and wonderful things that we used to do at conventions. But and part of me is like, oh, just go do it. It's fine. But the other part of me is like, no, because then I'm putting other people at risk. Because as I say, our first instinct is the selfish one. And then your second instinct is the, no, this is bad. I shouldn't do that. And it's not a bad thing to be selfish to start with, but it's a lot of people in the convention scene don't seem to go to the second step. That's about the nicest way I can think of putting it.
I think that's unfair, but I do completely get where you're coming from. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah. The problem is that you don't remember the average con goer. You remember the worst of the worst and the best of the best.
But in this case, the worst of the worst could get you killed.
Yeah. That's the problem, is that it's chemical warfare, and the problem is that you don't know who's got the nuke, because they probably don't even know. Because that's the thing with COVID, you can have COVID and be asymptomatic. You are completely fine. You have no symptoms whatsoever, but you are a carrier and you are spreading it to everybody else around you.
Yeah.
And I think it was Leo who's great said further up the chat that if this happens, I'm 100% convinced that there will be another lockdown after Expo. Because it's as you say, it's people coming from all over the country. Some people come from Europe, assuming they're allowed to travel. I don't know what it'll be like in October.
And
all it takes is one person with COVID at Expo and slightly lax COVID protocols because they say they're going to do all these wonderful things, but can you like, if you are the person who's having to do the COVID protocols, we've all been there. We've all been like, oh, do I really have to wipe this door handle down for the 900 millionth time today? Yes, you do. But Expo's a big place, and there's only so many people that are going to have the horrible job of having to wipe down every surface.
As I said, I can see how they could do it. I could see how they could make it work. I don't know how they're going to fit all those people in the building to do that. The numbers would just be,
you know, those watering, you know, those like watering systems that you wear it as a big tank on your back and it's got the long hose on it and you can spray things down. Yeah. I want them to be standing at the doors of everything with those, just spraying.
Oh, you know what?
Sanitizer.
When they go into prisons, you know, powder.
I have been arguing for these things to be standard for a long time, but that is
you have been,
I'm
and you're right.
Man. Anyway, so in response to the question from all of our lovely people, what do we think about the upcoming event? Would it be fair to say that number one, we're not going?
Nope.
Number two, we don't think it's going to be a fun convention if they can make it work. And number three, we don't think they're going to make it work on the safety level.
I would be very surprised if like a month before they didn't say, yeah, we're not running.
Yeah.
I do think that there's something. I think everybody obviously gets different things out of conventions. I think you guys are right that MCM has always been, there's a social side that grew and then split off from it. And so it became just a massive dealer's room. But my greatest memories are mostly based around the fact that I got to be a dealer for years there and I got to work there. And most of my great memories are either backstage as a dealer or in the press room once I became press. I don't have a lot of good memories of it the few times I've been as a punter. And I have been as a punter.
If you ever want new good memories of it, work my table.
I can work your table, but not this year.
Yeah, this is the thing. But what I'm saying is I think that the things I used to get out of a con, I get through virtual experiences now. I get through behind the scenes on YouTube, or I get through, documentary interviews or what have you, or live streams. I mean, that's where I get that fix now. And I've been enjoying that. I was enjoying that before COVID. I was enjoying the fact that there were events I didn't have to get ill from because I always got ill from them. And Kim once got swine flu from shaking the hand of a fan on an ADV when we were running ADV. So
Jesus,
that was at MCM, and it was a nightmare. So
anyway,
just saying,
no,
not going back.
Fine, not a problem. No one's forcing you to at the moment.
As you said, again, all of my good memories at MCM are being a dealer, whether it was with you, Hugh, or because obviously that's where our friendship really kind of blossomed, was working on the ADV store. Or working with Team Giblets when they had their t-shirt company.
Yeah.
And when I've gone out into the wilderness that is Expo, it kind of freaked me out because you couldn't get anywhere. And even trying to navigate back to your table, it was a nightmare. Like trying to get food. Like there isn't a dealer's pass to go, hey, can I skip to the front of the line because I'm a dealer? So
this is why I always bring my food in with me. I like one of my boxes is just stuff.
That's all for this bite-sized chunk of the Big Stomp. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts on the topic covered in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching the video, please give us a like, and if you'd like to watch more videos from Bunkazilla, hit that subscribe button as well. You can also join in the discussion when we go live on Twitch. The Big Stomp takes place on the last Wednesday of every month at 8 PM UK time. Come along, share your thoughts. We'd love to see you there. If you want more content right now, why not check out a recent Bunkazilla video or catch up on full episodes of The Big Stomp? The choice is yours. So until next time, stomp on, monsters of culture. Stomp on.